Hey there YouTube, how's it going? Nerdy Narwhal here, and I'm back again today to take another look at a 6-scale action figure for review. Today we're going to be taking a look at a pretty unique piece, but one of my favorite pieces. This is ThreeA's Shaolin Cowboy. So this is Ashley Wood from ThreeA, who's now doing the Underverse stuff, interpreting Geoff Darrow's legendary artwork into a 6-scale, fully posable action figure. And how did that turn out? Well, you definitely get a piece that is entirely unlike anything else in your collection. Now, thank you for joining me. Let's dive in and take a deeper look. All right, let's start off with just some overall aesthetic of this figure. Geoff Darrow's artwork is known for being hyperactive almost. It's frenetic, it's energizing, it's engaging. And in the Shaolin Cowboy series, he really sacrificed a lot of story elements to really showcase just his insane, over-the-top, and masterful art. So if you want an action figure from Geoff Darrow, you really want a piece that's going to be capable of doing all that. Now, you can tell that the Shaolin Cowboy here is not a very fit fellow in how we'd think about it, but the underlying body is definitely just a regular 3A type of body for all of the pros and cons that might entail. It fills out the outfit nice with that fat suit and can pose really well. As far as shelf presence, the unique kind of hip outfit, you've got the cowboy pieces, you got this rugged scarf, and those vibrant bright colors, and those hip Converse high top shoes. It's gonna stand out, it's gonna catch an eye, and better still, it's going to hold a pose, a really nice pose. So aesthetically, if this is what you're going for, I can't recommend it enough. It is just an awesome looking figure, especially for a fan of Geoff Darrow. Now, there are definitely some who are going to argue that a figure is only as good as the accessories that it comes with. And while this guy is by no means exploding with obscene accessories, he's got exactly what he needs, and then just a little bit extra to put it up into that realm of a legendary display piece. We're going to start off with the boring stuff, particularly the hands. First of all, he is going to come with one lone right trigger hand right there for his pistol, which we'll pull out here in a second. You are going to get two fisted hands, a left and a right, so that he can deliver some potent Shaolin Kung Fu punches. And finally, you are going to get a set of relaxed hands for just sticking in his pockets, hanging out, relaxing, and enjoying that weird post-apocalyptic wasteland that this setting takes place in. Now, let's pan the camera down a little bit. Outfit-wise, I'm not sure if you'd call it an accessory, but he has his Swiss Army knife hanging from his belt. It doesn't open up or anything, but that was a part of his design. It's kind of an accessory. It's hanging there. He comes with an essential super secret Shaolin sword. It has a pretty neat little pendant hanging on the bottom there. And this is what makes this figure so wonderful. These are all just intrinsic pieces of Geoff Darrow's art, right? The pendant hanging from the sword. All these crazy hyper detailed. This little pocket knife here, which never plays a role in the story, but it's hanging off of his belt because it's an extra detail that Geoff Darrow can throw in there and really just cut loose with his art. The sword slips out just like that. It is a thin plastic bag or plastic blade. There we go. Looks pretty good. and it can be held by either one of Shaolin Cowboy's holding accessory hands right there, which are currently on display on the figure. Now, coming around to, gonna have to move that. We're not talking about that quite yet. There we go. The right hip, he comes in a rubberized plastic holster. His cowboy gun. He is the Shaolin Cowboy, so he can hold a gun, he can hold a sword, he can do all of that. Nothing fancy here. That does pull back, and that does move, which is kind of nice. But there we go. It doesn't come apart or anything. It also doesn't need to. I prefer my accessories to look good and be sturdy as opposed to being overly functional, right? There's nothing worse than getting a cool figure in and they did all this crazy stuff to make the firearm mechanisms really work and pull apart, and it ends up just being a floppy, junky mess. 3A struck a really nice balance, I think, with this figure's pistol. And now finally you get the most insane accessory of all time. This is a chainsaw attached to 2 fishing rods attached to another chainsaw. Absolute batshit insanity. And also, the weapon that the Shaolin Cowboy used in one of the craziest scenes of all time in that comic book, where he is fighting a horde of zombies. He's lost his sword. I don't think he has his gun. So he makes this improvised weapon with 2 chainsaws on 2 fishing rods and uses it to fight just an obscene amount of zombies. Really cool stuff. Geoff Darrow was really giving it to us with that one. Awesome, awesome comic. And that is going to wrap it up as far as accessories go for this figure. And now let's talk about posability. First things first, I always use a display stand with my figures. This guy, like most 3A pieces, does not come with a display stand. I don't necessarily think that he needs it in order to hold a good pose. However, it always helps, especially if you want to get a little crazier with the poses. So let's just hit a pose here real quick. Something neat, something indicative of a Shaolin Cowboy. Let's get that raised up more over there. There we go. Bring the camera back. Check that out. On one leg, balance, delivering a downward thrust, probably into a zombie or some other type of crazy monster. Awesome. So yes, without going into too much detail yet, this guy can hold an awesome pose and really be a tour de force on your shelves. Now let's get into the articulation of the figure proper. Starting with the head, it is on a separate neck piece, so you have a double ball joint up there and down there. You're looking left, you're looking right, you're getting some tilt action, right? Getting some tilt action over there. All's well and good. You've got your ratcheted butterflies. Those ratchet joints are nice, particularly for holding that massive chainsword or a chainsaw spear. Arms are going to go all the way up, all the way back down. T-pose, no problem. Shift him off to the side here. Big double joint in the elbows, which is perfect for flinging something over his shoulder and holding onto it. And it's your standard 1/6 scale wrist pegs for tilt and swivel. Now he's got that big old gut, which is just a fat suit over the top of a regular 3A body. And it's going to hinder articulation a little bit. But you can still get a tilt forward. And you can still get a lean back. And what's nice about that fat suit is it really kind of rolls forward in a natural way. A bigger dude isn't going to be able to bend forward quite as much as a smaller dude. But the hips still work great if you need to do something a little more wild. And speaking of the hips, let's move down into the leg portion of this action figure. He can raise his leg up about that far before it gets hindered by that fat suit. Legs are going to go out to the side about yay much until they're hindered by the stitching. No real backwards motion, but a good double joint in the knees, and your standard double ball joint down there is going to allow you to get any sort of poses that you could really need to get out of this guy. You might not be able to do something crazy like having him do some crazy kick splits with his leg all the way up in the air, but that's fine because he's going to be able to get a decent low kick pose, right? Boom, there we go. So he's kicking off to the side right like that, and that'd work. But really, for a good display, for me at least, he's probably going to just be using either his sword, his pistol, probably the double chainsaw spear in my displays. So he can hold that well. That's all I really need. And now it's that time again for some closing thoughts. So let's talk about price and availability. I'm sorry guys, this is another review for a figure that has long since been sold out and is one that you kind of have to hunt down on the aftermarket. Now, good deals pop up all the time. If you're eager to get it and you just can't wait, you're probably going to spend upwards of $300 on eBay buying one from China. Now, you can find this guy for a deal. If you're patient, you can get it for that $250, $280 range, maybe even less. He doesn't pop up for sale all too often, though. And that's because the people that own him tend to really like this piece. But if you do find it in that range, then you're getting yourself a deal. Original SRP, I think this guy was right around $200 to get it shipped to your door. So as long as you're paying less, generally my rule, less than twice the SRP for an aftermarket piece, then you're still getting a good enough deal, especially if it's a figure that you know you're really going to appreciate and enjoy having on the shelf. And that's sort of why I make these kinds of reviews, not just for newer pieces coming out that not a lot of people are looking at, but also for older pieces that it may be good to get a solid opinion on. So can I recommend this figure? Absolutely. I can't recommend this figure enough. It's an awesome piece. But as always, you guys, if I've missed something in this review or you still have questions that remain unanswered, please leave a comment down below and I will gladly answer your question, or if needs arise, make another video detailing the answer to that question. But until then, this has been my review of 3A's Shaolin Cowboy. Thank you for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and keep on collecting. Nerdy Narwhal out.